Okay. Testing. Right. I have decided to go live. I've not done one of these impromptu lives for a little while, but I'm still awake over here in Melbourne and I have some time basically to do some sketching and yeah, I just thought it'd be a good thing to do before I go to bed. And one of you guys actually asked me to do this scene of Luna Park. I actually downloaded this image off Pixabay. It's a completely free, it's a royalty-free image, and I know there's no kind of notice or anything that I've given, but I'll upload the scene later on. So I'll put that up. I'll upload it to the website and also link it in the description if you want to check out the reference. But yes, today basically what I want to do is run through how I sketch a scene. So this is really important if you're out and about. Maybe you're traveling, maybe you're just out in your neighborhood and you're in the park and you want to do a bit of sketching, practice your watercolors. I think this is an essential skill, and some of it is, there's a little bit of some mental roadblocks you have to get through as well, because a lot of the time when you're sketching, you're not trying to get an exact, an exact representation of what you're seeing. You're just trying to get a little impression of what's going on there. So sometimes this can turn into a more detailed painting back home. So yeah, I find I learn a lot from sketching outdoors, even if it's just with the pencil. So yeah, guys, let me know. I do see there's about 10 of you on Facebook. About 10 of you on Facebook. So if the audio, let me know if the audio and the video is okay. I've changed the camera lens, so it looks all good to me. But if you can hear and see me all right, just drop an all okay down in the chat. But yeah, welcome to today's stream. Like I said, this is something that's not that I haven't planned at all. I just want to do a sketch of Luna Park, as one of you has asked me to do this. So I think it was Monica. I'm pretty sure it was Monica that asked me to do this a few times. So anyhow, let's get cracking now. This is basically a quick pencil sketch. This took me about 2 minutes. About 2 minutes to do. Okay, and I barely lifted my pencil off the paper. And I'm pretty sure my sketch here is going to look kind of similar, maybe with a teeny bit more detail. But yeah, it just gives me a little confidence before I actually go into the proper sketch. And let's get cracking. So I just want to put in a line here for the foreground, right? Leave a bit of foreground. I'd say about a quarter of the way or less through the page. I'm just going to leave that there. Okay, and what I will start doing is getting in the face of this clown here. Now this is, I don't know if anyone knows where this is, but this is basically an area in Melbourne near to the beach in St Kilda called Luna Park. It's a theme park, roller coaster, games and stuff like that out the back. I think I've been in there like once or twice, but yeah, it's an interesting subject. And although there's a lot of moving parts, a lot of things going on in here, I think that it makes, yeah, like I said, an interesting subject, lots of colors. So for the face, I'm just going to get in a, kind of this oval-like shape like that. Okay, we've got the mouth kind of coming in from the edges and coming down like that. And this is basically the ground. It's basically the ground. Okay, so I'm really trying to make sure that I am not overworking this as well, because I want to sort of get in all of the details with the watercolors. So yeah, a little bit of a sketch. I'm just checking How's everything going? Yeah, you can see there's about 15 of you watching on Facebook. Drop a message down in the chat if everything is sounding and looking okay from your end. Might actually, what I actually do is I probably will draw a touch darker. Might zoom in a little bit just so you can see a bit more of what I'm drawing. Okay. Yeah, Tanya says all good on Facebook. Okay, thanks, Tanya. And yeah, it's 1 a.m. believe it or not in Melbourne, but for some of you it's probably in the evening. So yep. Anyway, yeah. So like I said, kind of an oval shape for the head of this kind of clown figure, face. Pop the nose in here, the eyes, couple of eyes. Okay, and look, I haven't attempted this particular scene before, and I just want to get an impression of this. So when I do these things live, I always tend to overthink them, and but I'm trying my best to just get a quick little impression of everything in. Now there's eyebrows, kind of like this arched eyebrow, like that. Okay, so if you can just find a way to simplify this down, we should be all good. Okay, that's the nose. Let me just actually redo that nose a little bit. And this is where some of those portraiture workshops that I've run in the past might come in handy, though it's been a while since I've actually done a portrait before. I think it was the last one I did was sometime in, it must have been almost a year and a half ago. So it's certainly been a while. Good. Let's have a look at it. This kind of what you call it? Nope. It's kind of scary looking, isn't it? I used to be terrified of clowns when I was a kid. Read that Stephen King book, It, which is probably not appropriate for kids, but that kind of got me. Kind of started the whole fear of clowns. But here we go. Just a little bit of detail on the face, and you can see the kind of, what is it? It's kind of like makeup, I suppose, on the face. We'll fix that up and get some more details in later. Okay, but we've got the hair, which is sort of spiky, sort of, detail and stuff going on. And let's have a look up here as well. There is this part of the building here. Like that. Now we've got to really make sure we leave enough room for the top of the scene as well. Okay, now we know these two towers, finish up around here, but I want to leave a tiny bit more room on top. So that's just going to look a bit more balanced. Let's finish off these kind of spiky kind of details for the hair, like that. And let's see, just keep on going around like this. Okay. And with a scene like this, where you've got quite a detailed subject, it does pay to really get in some of these small details like this. Okay. But also, I just don't want to overdo it. There's some people here. Check this out. There's some people just sort of walking through the scene. So I will put in some little figures here, just standing at the mouth. And what's in the back there? There's a lot of detail, but it's really not a big deal. There's just kind of darkness behind there. So it's, no big deal. Just put in some figures in the front of the mouth while you're there. Okay. Now here comes the next part. I'm going to get in these sides. So you know it sort of comes around like this. It's just two long kind of rectangular shapes that run down the page like this. Okay. Oops. That. Okay. And I should probably start this up a bit more like here. Where is the cheek? Like about there. And then I'll just drag this down there like that. Okay. And we're going to get in the kind of side of this building like here as well. Super important, because this is going to all be in darkness like that. Not only that, it's going to kind of cover part of the face of the clown as well, like a bit of the shadow that's running through there like that. Okay, a little bit of the shadow. Righto, and there's all these little details in here. I'm not going to bother too much. Just simplify that down into something like this. Okay, there. Even here, there's some little details. You can spend all day doing this, or in my case, all night doing this, but not interested. Just a little indication of the structure. Okay. And I always like to challenge myself every now and then by doing a different subject that I'm not quite used to. And yeah, this is definitely something that it's a little bit more challenging than your usual subject, because though it is a building, there's a lot going on in here. So here's the left-hand side. I'm just going to get in a bit of that pillar supporting structure there. Oops, yep, let's bring that down and bring that across a little like this. There we have it. And the side of the face, I probably should get in the side of the face of this clown a little more, with a little more intention to it, like that. There we are. Good. There's going to be a bit of shadow there to the left as well, like that. What else do we have? We've got these sort of squarish posters, so let's put in some squarish or rectangular posters there. His head's a bit rounder, isn't it, at the top? Yeah, it's a little bit, tiny bit rounder. Yeah, but don't want to like spend too much time on this. Okay, there's an oval here, and I'm just looking at all these little shapes and drawing the shapes in. I don't care about looking at it as a building of any sort. I just look at it as a combination of other structures and simpler shapes, and I find that's the only way that I can keep myself sane, continue drawing, and not get overwhelmed with everything. You know, that here is just a rectangle, and you got all this darkness underneath here, and I mean there's like something in here, like a window there. There's a lot of darkness here underneath and to the left as well. You know, underneath here there's a bit of darkness. All this stuff you can get in later with the watercolors, but I'm just highlighting it to you. And I do like to do a bit of shading on it as well, just to remind myself later. So there we go, just another rectangular bit up here. This one's facing, actually it's kind of angled a bit more to the left there, like that. What else do we have? This part of the building here. And if you ever make a mistake when you're drawing, maybe you draw that line in a bit of an odd angle or something like that, don't go and scratch it out and start messing around with it. Just correct the line and draw where you think it should have been. One, that saves time. You don't kind of overthink it and bring the eraser in and just make it into this sort of big mess. And also it just, to be honest, it sort of adds to the overall feel to it. So yeah, I wouldn't bother too much with little errors and things like that. Just correct the line, go over where you think it should have been in the first place. Okay. Yeah, the sun's coming from about kind of like the top right hand. Yeah, I'd say maybe like the top right hand corner of the scene. So I'm always kind of thinking where's that light source coming from as well. Okay, so the left side of the building, and here we got this kind of structure, inner structure as well, like this. Oops, there we are. Yeah, no big deal. All right, so I think that's like the tough bit figured out. Yeah, I think that's like the tough part of this figured out, thankfully. Um, let's put in the right hand side. This is a roller coaster. And I've run out of white gouache. I've got some dried up white gouache, which is making me think, how am I going to get in the actual tracks and stuff of the roller coaster? But we'll figure that out when the time comes. There we go. This kind of gate or whatever going to the right hand side, and then you've got part of the roller coaster here. I'm actually drawing a lot darker than I would usually, just so that you're able to see what I'm drawing on the screen. Okay, and we'll just get in some of this, roller coaster. So you've got some vertical lines. That kind of get smaller as you closer together. I mean, as you move towards the back, and then you've got some of these horizontal lines moving through, and there's all this detail and stuff in there. Look, I don't care. Let's figure that out a bit later with the gouache, because I reckon I'm just going to leave a bit of white in there, but for the most part, just let the gouache go through. Now, one thing I want to change about this scene is I want to put in some more people that are closer to the front of the scene. I've got, maybe we've got a person walking here. Okay, a bit of a shadow to the left. And maybe we can angle that shadow a bit to the back like that. Yeah, that looks better. And I don't want to interfere with this sort of part of the building as well too much, because it makes it look quite three-dimensional. But we will put a couple of people here, and I did experiment with this before in the sketch. But we can put a person here. We can put another person here, perhaps, and maybe a third just around here. And I'm making the heads like a little bigger as well as you move towards the foreground. Okay, because yeah, they're closer to us. And of course, that same shadow pattern. Let's just figure this one out. Oop, get that leg like that. Good enough. And I thought here, maybe on the left-hand side, we could get a, parent and child or something like that walking along. But put in the side of this wall first. And this is kind of important too, because there is some shadow here cast by the side of this building, that block. And there's more of this kind of roller coaster stuff going on there. I don't really mind just basic details like that. We've also got some trees. So we got these palm trees here. Look at that, just simplified palm trees. I'm actually not the best at painting these in. I just scrub them in quickly, but placing them in like this and just making sure you've got the trunk drawn in so that it has to kind of actually finish off all the way back there. So we'll just leave that like that. And maybe another trunk here. And yeah, for some of you from Melbourne probably recognize this. I think there's actually one in Sydney as well. But yep, some more palm trees. Andrew's art says at home, but I'll paint along when I'm home. Awesome. Yep, I'll leave it up. I'll leave it up so you can watch it afterwards. So we're nearly done with the drawing here. I don't want to spend too much time on this. You know, I think I've already spent way too much time on the actual drawing, but I hope you get the general gist, I suppose, of how I draw, how I simplify the shapes down, and create this larger sketch from smaller objects within, smaller shapes within. Okay, and I've actually this one should be a bit wider. So again, just some corrections here and there, not a big deal. A couple of windows here, just sort of figuring out if there's anything that I've missed out from this scene. I don't think so. Let me just have a look through. We've got the gist of everything in there. I think we can put in some more figures to the left that I was talking about before. So I want to get that. Maybe I should put persons here. I'm just thinking, maybe I don't want to cover that part. So I'll put in a figure here, there, a couple of legs there, and maybe a child. It's going to be smaller, so the head will be kind of coming up to around there. Oops, like that. Maybe just lower the. Yeah, there we go. Make that head a little smaller. Okay, there we go. My pencil's run out of lead, and I think it's just, it's just the right time for it to run out of lead anyway, because I think we're just about finished. Jeez, I'm struggling with this figure. What am I doing? The more you think about it, sometimes the more you can stuff it up. Okay, there we go. Shadow running to the left. So I think we've got a bit of something here. I like that, the figures at the front, they just make the scene look more, how should I put it, a little bit more three-dimensional, gives it more depth, and also tells a bit of a story as well. The people walking through, busy day. Some more figures out here, perhaps. I'm just scribbling in a couple here. Doesn't even really look like people at all, but yeah, do want some at the entrance, like there. Okay, good. Right. So let's get cracking. Let's get cracking with the painting. All right, so I'm going to be using a round brush, smallish round brush, and let's have a look. Can you see okay? I'm just checking just making sure that everything's visible properly. Yeah, so you can see the reference as well. Might have to bump up the brightness. Let me see if I can just. Oh, can't do that. Might have to bump it up this way. There we go. Okay, so what we want to do is just get in the main colors of this building, and I'm going to be using really kind of gaudy colors. Like this yellow here is just Hansa yellow, and as you can see, it's really, I've diluted it. It's 90% water, 10% paint. Normally I don't like using such such bright and saturated colors, but for this particular scene it's definitely warranted. Okay, so I'm just gonna put in some of these areas, add in some of that yellowish color, and then actually this part is, it's kind of like a creamy yellow color, so I'll just put a bit of white in there as well. Okay, what we're doing is that we are adding in all of the really light warm colors first. Okay, all of the light warm colors. So the face of this clown is kind of like this cream color, so I'm going to go over the top with it. Okay, And the whole idea with this, guys, is that we want to make all the colors just blend together. Yeah, for this sketch, I don't want to be focusing too much on all the little details. So all this stuff, there's going to be some softened edges here. Okay, so this is a bit of red, a bit of pyrrole red, and I also have a bit of pyrrole orange, which I'm going to stick in here as well. Let's just get in a bit of that pyrrole orange and see how it appears, because it does need to be actually got pretty warm in here. So I'm going to put that in, and like that. Okay, and kind of what I was saying before, just let it mix a little. All right, so we get some softer edges, more orange here, like that. Okay, I'm just cutting around that square as well, a touch, for the poster or whatever that's meant to be. Okay, what have we got in here? It's actually still kind of reddish. Now the hair of this, the hair I've got to put in as well some yellow. Let's do this, bit of yellow. Okay, you don't have to get this in perfect, but just a bit of yellow for the hair, because actually, behind that it's kind of dark. There's a lot of darker values that we can put in later on. But yeah, let's just get in a very rough indication of the hair. And notice I'm just holding the brush further down as well. So this is going to help to, with the detailing. Can help a little bit with the detailing. It's actually pretty annoying. I am not the most patient at times with getting in these little details. I think that should do it. That should do it. Okay. Really, when you're sketching, you're aiming for efficiency, least number of brush strokes. You're aiming for just you're aiming for efficiency. So a bit of blue here. It's actually more of an ultramarine, really, like a navy. Yeah, this actually had some ultramarine. So I'll cut around and just leave a bit of that yellow. And all the colors that I'm using at the moment, they are all very much diluted down. So I'm talking about 5 to 10% paint max. A lot of this is just water, really. Because if we start going too dark here, we're going to lose the light. So yep, there's something up here as well. I'm just going to indicate some of this. I could keep going. I don't want to overdo it. Just a quick sketch there. There's a bit of something there. I can also go back afterwards with some gouache if I overdo it as well, if I kind of get rid of some of the white. But a lot of these white components in here, in watercolors, you just have to cut around, and the more that you can leave out in this wash, the less work you need to do afterwards. So okay, good. Let's see, what else do we have? We're actually popping a bit of yellow ochre here just to join this up. Again, encouraging stuff to mix a little here. Yep. Oops, gone over the face a bit there. Okay. Some more blue. I'm really just trying to figure out, here it's kind of like a lighter blue. Almost you could call it lilac color. So up the top here, just a light wash of that color. You can use cerulean blue, that will do the trick as well. Okay, like that. use that same color actually. Right, good, good, good. And I've left a bit of white there. Well, this is like a kind of creamy yellow color for the sign. I'll get some of the lettering in afterwards, won't bother with it now. That, and underneath here, it's really just like, it's almost like a generic grey color, isn't it? Let's get in just something here like that. Got a bit of mixed up grey left on the palette, so I'm going to just drop in a bit of that grey here. Okay. Right. So, yeah, so far, doesn't look like much, but we have to persist. We have to persist. This is just the first wash, and we are getting in basic light values. Here on the right-hand side, there's this wall or whatever as well. It's kind of got that same milky white kind of color. I don't even think I'm going to touch this stuff here. Maybe like a little bit of that there. We'll work it out. I'm going to cut around it and potentially leave some of that white there. For the ground, let's do some grey. I've got a mop brush here. I've got a smaller mop brush. This is going to work better. A little mop brush. And I've got some grey that's left over. And I'm just going to drop this into the ground. Probably add in a bit of warmth to that grey as well. A little bit of yellow ochre. And let's drop that in. That. This is the red is running, which is not the best, but I'll deal with it. Just deal with this. Okay, I'd rather things run together a little bit. Some more grey for the ground. Cutting around those figures a bit as well. Okay. There we are. Maybe a bit of bluish grey here at the front as well. This might seem really light for you, but once this dries off, it's going to look better. We need to preserve some of that light. All right, down to the left-hand side. Let's see what we can do here. Some more stuff going on for this, roller coaster. The details of the roller coaster. It's just kind of like scaffolding. Just think of it as just like building scaffolding kind of stuff going on to the left. I don't want to overdo this. There's do have a bit of this darkness here as well. We'll go through this a little bit later and accentuate it, but remember for this first wash, all we're doing is getting in the light values, okay? The light values. For the trees, could put in a bit of this color here for the trunks. But it's not a huge deal. Little green, touch of green for some of these leaves. I will actually make them darker, but just a little bit of light green there. Like I said, it just adds some highlights later on when you go over with the darker green. So, yep, just checking some of these buildings, because really the last step here is to just put in the background and some of the details. So let's pop on the background, the sky. I mean, so it's really just cerulean blue. Got a mop brush. I reckon I can do it with the mop brush. I reckon we can do it. So just pure cerulean blue, and if I have to go darker, I will. Um, like for example, with a touch of ultramarine blue, up the top here, I'm going to put in a bit of ultramarine blue with the cerulean blue, okay, to really darken this area of the sky. Now, making this, adding a bit more paint in here is going to help you to cut around, see the building here, so I can sort of emphasize the light hitting the building better when this blue is a little darker like this. Okay, it gives it a bit more volume. Okay, let's run this down here, right hand side. Good, good. And here we go, this sort of tricky bit where I was kind of deciding what to do because there's all this scaffolding and stuff. Let's just give this a shot. Yeah. So if I don't have to use the gouache and I can cut around some of this stuff, I think that's going to be ideal. This does take a little bit of time though, and I don't want to overdo it. For a sketch, especially, this is the last thing I want to do. But if I just spend a little time here, this is going to help me so that I don't have to use too much gouache later on. Okay, this is a technique that you'd call negative painting. So basically you're painting around the shape that you want to imply. Painting around it. So you're leaving the white on the paper to indicate some of the details. So, that's not the best, but it's fine. I think to imply what we want. I think it's okay. We can go through and fix that up a bit later. Add in some more details, some more ultramarine and cerulean mixed together. I'm gonna go in and do this part. I might put in a bit more ultramarine, tiny bit more ultramarine in here. Ultramarine's a lot darker, so this will just allow me to again create extra contrast. Okay, and notice as well, some of this color is melting in to the previous wash, but I'm not concerned with that. Yeah, this is what happens when you sketch. You're kind of aiming for efficiency of your brush strokes, and you're not worrying about tiny little details, rather the entire general picture. And especially if you want to paint in a loose manner as well, I think this is quite an important thing to keep in mind. Okay, look at that. Doesn't look like a whole lot at the moment, but I have some faith. I have some faith that it will work out by the end. Okay, when you put in all the lighter colors, it normally doesn't look like much, and a lot of people at this point are kind of thinking, "Oh, give up," but we have to persist and make it through to the end, because this is where you can really get in those darker values and make it all come together. So just having a look at the parts that are dried, I reckon what we can do is start working on the details of the center. Okay, little details of the center. So I've got a round brush, the same one that I actually had before, but I do also have a smaller one here too. So I'm going to mix up a dark value. I mean, I've already got some here anyway. It's just some neutral tint. Brown, blue, mixed together also works quite nicely. Okay, so let's do this. So you only really got one chance to do this. And hopefully this doesn't run too much as well. Oops, it's really tricky given the... Yeah, really tricky, but make this work. Okay. You're just cutting around, you're leaving those bits of yellow in there as much as you can anyway. I know that it's not perfect here, but I will see what we can do, see what we can get out of this. Okay. Pretty dark value. Almost like downward facing triangles, you could call them, I guess. Right. And this just emphasizes the hair a bit better. Okay. Just need to even the left side a bit more, like that. Yep. Yeah, I'll need to finish some of that off with gouache afterwards, but this will be all right for the time being. Okay, good. So we've got that kind of dark area there. Let's work our way through the bottom. So we've got all these people, these figures here. I'm going to cut around and just put in this sort of dark area behind the mouth. Okay, simplify that down, cutting around that figure, of course. So a bit of red actually for the lips. This is, didn't really get that in before, but something like that should do. There's actually, you can actually see teeth in there, but I'm not. Look, I don't want to overdo it. Just something like that. And then we've got just the blue of the sky or whatever showing through behind. So I'll just put in a bit of that blue. Okay, just ways if I can blend this all, mix it all together so it looks like there's something in there. Completely happy. Just do the eyes while I'm at it as well. Okay, oops. Let's come back later on with some darker paint. Good. Now some more shadows. I'm going to put in some kind of bluish grey colour for some of this area. Actually, what you can do, you can get, so for example, this area is red. So you can mix that red with a bit of neutral tint to create like a darker red value. And that will probably look better for the shadow here. Okay, kind of like a darker red shadow, like that. And of course, like the shadow extends onto the face of the clown. So I'm just going to do that. Same thing, maybe with a bit of the yellow here for the value of the yellow, like that. Okay, good. Some detailing of these pillars as well, just a couple of marks running across like that. Okay, good. Right, now, side of this, we're just looking at the shadow pattern. The shadows, the light's coming in from the right-hand side. So the left side of the building is going to be in darkness there. So just going to cut around and put that in. That underneath as well here. Just a bit of the shadow. Okay. Just simplify that down. And the roof there as well. Good. This is just a bit of grayish paint. Okay. Get that shadow in here as well. The same, using that same kind of technique. Okay, there. All right. Bit of shadow underneath this area. Just a vertical like that. Detail for the eyebrows. Oop. I just think it needs to look a little bit scarier. Let's get the rest of the eyes in. Sometimes you have to switch to a smaller brush. Just have a play around with this smaller one here. Oops. Kind of messing up these eyebrows a bit. It must feel like I'm painting a portrait. Just lift off a bit of that. Tiny bit of that. Okay. And work on the shadow on the left side of the nose. Bit of that. Cheek. And here as well. That. Okay, it's a pretty loose kind of impression, but you get the idea. All right. Could probably do a better job with this stuff up the top of the hair. It's this is tricky to get it like kind of exactly. And if you keep layering and you keep doing what I'm doing here, eventually it should start looking more and more detailed, but you have to be patient. There's so many little shapes and things in this particular scene, so I think it's a great reference. It's very, very challenging. Yeah, it's very challenging, but it's kind of like a fun subject. Okay, what else do we have? All right, there's darkness here, maybe. the left side of this wall, or the shadow. It's better, just like that. Some more kind of, oops. But yeah, some kind of darker bits for this, bits of the roller coaster or whatever running to the left. You know, there's actually a lot of little, tiny little details all running through in here, and you can get quite bogged down if you're not careful. I am just gonna see if I can apply some of this stuff with one brush stroke, you know, hopefully. I don't want to get rid of the light in there. That one looks okay. Let's do this one here. It's kind of like this darker outline on the inner part of this structure. Okay, do it once. Don't go back to it like this. Good. Another vertical. Some more verticals running through there. We got another, what else do we have? Maybe another vertical here. Find out soon enough that you don't need to put in every little detail that you see from the reference. You just have to put in enough to imply what's happening, and your mind will fill in the rest. Loretta, good to see you. Checking in for a minute from Kenai, Alaska. Interesting subject. Yeah, a little bit different from my usual subject, but someone had requested it. One of my viewers from Melbourne. So I thought, why not give it a go? Okay. Why not give it a crack? Okay, so what else do we have here? We have on the right-hand side, there's this darker entrance or something. It looks to me like an entrance anyway. I'm going to just get that in like that. There. Do we have any other darker bits? Maybe a little bit of darkness there. There. And apart from that, not all too much. Up here, though, I can see maybe some extra darkness being good to just imply this, you know, the window in there. And again, it's like very quick, you know, indication of it. There's actually another one in there through the back as well. Like that. Okay, there's little details that you can find on the building, like these darker lines and things that can help indicate more of the structure, which you can play around with if you want. Okay. Bit of blue in there. Something like that. It's a bit of blue. Okay. This lettering is going to be tricky. I don't know. Just try it. Luna Park. My handwriting is pretty bad. Whoop. Probably not going to read like much. Park. Sort of just make it out, but not really. Yeah. It's enough. It's not enough for a sketch anyhow. I'm going to put a bit of this red outline or something on the edge as well. There we are. Yeah, this is a pretty tricky subject, I have to say. Okay, so left-hand side, I want to just put in these a bit darkness for these trees. I've got some green, and Angie's here as well. Hey, how you doing, Angie? Good morning. Out at work. And is that watercolor pens or markers I like to learn how to use? No, so these are just, I'm just using normal watercolors, Angie, and some synthetic brushes. Just some synthetic brushes, so nothing special, you know, your usual, I guess. Angie's saying, I have watercolor paints, trying to figure out whether watercolor canvas or watercolor paper is best. I find watercolor paper is, for me, it works better because, yeah, it's been the traditional medium, like, you know, the traditional surface that a lot of artists have used, and it's just been developed and sized to better standards, in my opinion. But if you get a good, decent watercolor canvas, I'm sure it'll be fine. I've painted on one before, and I just couldn't get used to the weight of it, and it was absorbing too much water. So you got to get used to it every time you switch surfaces, even if you're using, you know, smooth hot press watercolor paper versus cold press watercolor paper. You know, there's something that you just have to get used to each time. Yeah, some of these details on the face a bit. Oops, like that. It's really not necessary to put in all too much detail here, but why not? Why not have a secondary kind of play around there? And the teeth as well, kind of like the little bits of the teeth. Get that in like that. Kind of, right? Edges of the mouth as well. These light little touches in some areas, I don't know how to put it, but they really start to uh, create the boundaries of the background and foreground. And if you imply it, all you have to do is just imply it, you know, like this little boundary here between the pillar and the clown. Okay, yeah, this has been like a pretty tricky subject actually, but especially because I intended to do it quickly. But let's go and put in some details for the side here, the tree. So let's see if I can just wing this bit of green, dark green mixed with black, or basically neutral tint. Okay, there we have it. Some brown, mix up a bit of brown, and I can maybe get in the trunks, something like that. Just darken a bit behind here as well. Bring out again some of these figures walking about in the foreground. Yeah, let's put in let's start working on some of these figures while we're at it. Yeah. So I might put in some of this color. It's like a lighter, I don't know what it is, like a light red or something that I found. Maybe for this child here, we can put in a bit of bluish paint there. Okay. And the legs. Let's get in some darker values here for the legs of both of these figures. So there's one, oh, another leg here, another leg here, and of course the shadow on the ground. Make this shadow fairly dark and connect it on. That. Okay, not bad. This figure here, leg and back leg there, and the shadow. This one's better, more intentional. Leg here, these couple of figures, and just join up the legs again. Oops, it wasn't the best, but another one here. You know, did had a figure here actually, but lost the figure. But we can bring them back in a moment with some gouache, and we've got the people kind of just coming out the entrance or walking towards the entrance as well. So some, you know, shadows there for them as well. Connect that all up. These figures here, sometimes I find like the quicker you do it, the more realistic they end up looking, better they look. Okay, good. We've got some people there walking around. Right. The stream looks like it's lagging a little bit. This looks like it's lagging a little bit. I'm going to continue anyway. Let me just double check. How's the stream? For those of you who are watching, I think it's just bugged out a little bit, but it seems to be actually, yeah, it seems to be stabilizing now. Yeah, I'll just continue on because we don't really have long to go. Anyway, good. I'll put in a bit of color for this figure, just a little bit of something there. But you know, for a lot of these figures, you don't really need to put too much color in them at all. Just a little tiny blotch of paint, lighter paint, should do it. And what I like to do right at the end is to put in a touch of gouache. But let me just get in some hair, a bit of hair on these figures first, like this. Does help to indicate where they are. And yes, I'm rushing this a little bit to just get this done. maybe some guiding lines as well on the ground. This. Yeah. Okay. Yes, I think what I'll do is play around with some gouache now. I've got a little bit that's dried up and left over. I do need to get myself some better gouache, a new tube of gouache. That's what I mean. Just thought I'd darken this a bit to the left as well to bring out that part of the uh, structure of the building. Okay. All right, what have we got? Bit of white gouache with some water. And we can pop this on the heads and the shoulders of the figures, so like this. Just to bring out some of the details that we'd lost, the light, and also in the actual structure itself. So I can just start bringing back a little bit of the white. Got to use this pretty sparingly though. Okay, I think I might finish this one off. Not bad, not bad for a first attempt. And I'll definitely tidy this up a little bit afterwards. But well, if you're watching afterwards and you have any questions, leave a comment down below in the chat. Otherwise, I'll catch you all next time.